Some moments define the rest of your life, not because of the praise you receive, but because of the person trying to tear you down. Standing rigid in my crisp military dress uniform during my promotion, I heard a mocking giggle break the silence. That shallow snicker came directly from my sister Savannah, who made sure everyone in the front row knew my sacrifice was nothing more than a joke to her. I had spent over 6 grueling years grinding through the ranks of the military to earn my officer insignia. When the camera flash went off, I maintained my posture with my chin raised high and my jaw clenched tight. I took a slow breath while the senior officers applauded my accomplishment, but deep inside, the lingering hum of her disrespect burned into my chest like hot ash. We grew up in a small timber town where my sister always demanded the spotlight. She possessed an effortless charm that captivated our parents, turning every family dinner into her personal stage show. I was always the quiet observer who preferred order and discipline, while she soaked up all the admiration. Her constant need for attention meant that my quiet achievements were routinely brushed aside. When I joined the military academy, Savannah openly ridiculed my decision as a bizarre temporary phase. She claimed I was simply joining the service because I lacked the flair to stand out on my own. However, the structured military environment gave me a sense of purpose and pride that she could never understand. Even though she constantly belittled my career choice, I still sent her invitations to every ceremony. On the morning of my official promotion ceremony, she arrived late and made a grand entrance in a bright designer outfit. She whispered dramatic remarks into the ear of my mother and smirked as I walked up to receive my rank insignia. When the photographer asked for final focus, she audibly laughed, deliberately ruining the solemnity of my proudest moment. That single moment broke something fragile inside my soul. Later that evening in my quiet quarters, I looked at the official military photograph published on the base bulletin board. Underneath the photo, Savannah had left a snide public comment mocking my authoritative posture. Her dismissive words were a cruel reminder that she viewed my dedication as a punchline. I silently hid her comment, feeling a cold realization wash over me that night about her true character. The following week, my superior officer tasked me with managing the seating arrangements for an upcoming joint command assembly. When I saw the name of my sister listed in the front row reserved for distinguished guests, I paused. I realized I was tired of allowing her to occupy prime space during moments she refused to respect. With steady fingers, I quietly reassigned her to the distant civilian overflow section. The day of the joint, command assembly arrived with sharp precision and perfect order under the bright morning sun. Savannah strutted into the venue expecting her usual VIP placement near the podium. When the ushers directed her to the far corner 5 rows back, her jaw tightened in immediate anger. She glared in my direction, but I kept my gaze fixed forward without granting her a single glance. As the photographer captured the joint command photo, I stood center stage beside my fellow officers in perfect composure. Savannah was barely visible in the outer edge of the frame, visibly annoyed and far away from the spotlight. She could no longer hijack my professional honor or draw attention. Away from the ceremony, for the first time in my life, I felt completely undisturbed by her presence. That evening, my phone rang with an unlisted number that I immediately recognized. When I answered, Savannah launched into a furious tirade, accusing me of humiliating her by placing her in the back rows. She claimed I was arrogant and obsessed with power just because of my uniform and rank. I listened to her sharp insults in complete silence, refusing to give her the heated argument she wanted. My silence frustrated her even further as she demanded that I justify my cold actions toward her. I calmly informed her that seating protocols were enforced and that civilian guests were positioned accordingly. She slammed the phone down in rage, but I felt a surprising sense of relief wash over me. I finally realized that setting firm personal boundaries did not require me to shout or explain myself. 4 days later, an unmarked envelope was delivered under the door of my office on base. Inside was a handwritten letter from Savannah, written in her distinct curved penmanship. She confessed that my steady confidence and clear sense of direction had always intimidated her deeply. She admitted that making me seem smaller was the only way. She knew how to handle her own lingering insecurities. Reading her words did not erase years of public mockery, but it unlocked an important truth for me. I understood then that her cruel behavior was fueled by envy rather than genuine hatred. However, recognizing her hidden insecurity did not mean I had to allow her toxicity back into my personal space. I placed her letter inside my journal, accepting the cold reality of our broken sisterly connection. When my deployment orders arrived the following week for an overseas assignment, I had to complete my official paperwork. For years, I had automatically listed Savannah as my primary emergency contact despite her neglectful attitude. This time, I deliberately crossed out her name and wrote down Captain Lucas Bennett, my trusted second in command. It was a clean decision that officially removed her from my vital personal records. That night, as I walked along the perimeter of the military airfield, I reflected on my past choices. I realized I had spent years protecting the illusion of a supportive family relationship that never truly existed. True strength meant knowing when to stop defending people who consistently disrespected my worth. Leaving her behind was not done out of anger or bitterness, but out of absolute self-respect. On the morning of my overseas departure, there were no dramatic goodbyes or tearful family send-offs at the tarmac. Boarding the transport aircraft, I felt the calm weight of my duties and the clarity of my purpose. Our forward operating post was quiet and demanding, offering me the perfect environment to lead my team effectively. Away from her shadow, I flourished in my leadership role without any lingering self-doubt. 2 weeks into my overseas tour, a brief note arrived in the military mail rotation bearing her initials. Savannah expressed her respect for my unwavering strength, acknowledging that I had held my ground despite her toxic behavior. I read her short message once, folded the paper neatly, and stored it away permanently. I appreciated her honesty, but I knew my personal boundary would remain firmly in place forever. Standing under the open horizon as the sun rose over our forward outpost, I felt complete peace inside. I no longer needed external approval or family validation to know my value as a leader and human being. I had taken full control of my story, reclaiming my space without shrinking for anyone else. Looking ahead into the quiet morning, I stood tall and proud in my own spotlight.